Working at UVTV, motherfucker. I'm in a kid spiritualized and do this for my people. On God. Nia nigga for Featherman, yeah. And today I'm gonna be talking about the spiritual space all presidents have to be in without realizing. So just in general, right? So motherfuckers don't be getting spooked out. Spirituality or the spirit, it just deals with the space you in, and then you know what you like to have in and out your space. So it's like the overall parameter, the overall room, in the overall state of awareness that you in based upon what you're paying attention to, and based upon that attention span and stuff like that is going to condense into a container, and that turns into attractiveness. So it's like festering men and women. So attention, attraction, and it's based upon frequency, vibration, energy, spirit, mind, body. So based upon the space that you in, it's free flowing and it's based upon free will. So you're always going to be able to observe. You're always going to be able to create. You know what I'm saying? You always going to be able to make a new pocket that you're always gonna try to fulfill for the most part, or try to hit something from a different thought form, a different feeling, a different angle, and based upon those thoughts and feelings, it's gonna get more materialized and condensed into your second body, because your first body is your mind, and it's gonna make your flesh and organs in the body, like the physical body, and then it's gonna turn to the external world, actions that you partake in based upon the different tools and technology of the external world. Like, we make the world just in general. I'm gonna always keep on preaching that shit just in general. But overall, right, when it comes to the different presidents, right, it's just based upon the state of being or the state of awareness and the essentials or the importance and the excellencies and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The regime, the your majesties and stuff like that. I'm just using different terminology based upon like synonyms for like presidential type of shit, or the executive order, or being a part of a federation, all that type stuff. All that is just a mentality that they're in based upon the state of being, in the state of awareness, in the space that you're in the space that you're in. So this can help y'all out when it comes to the minute motherfuckers who be into politics and stuff like that, right? Because I be talking about everything in existence on this channel. You know what I'm saying? I don't do like politics as much on a higher percentage scale, but I'm trying to have y'all have a guiding awareness, or a better angle, or a better, broader direction, outlook, worldview of how to look at these people in these positions and stuff like that. Because regardless if it's some aristocrat, elitism, high class, low class, there's no such thing as that. You know what I'm saying? We all in the same even playing field and stuff like that. It's just some people, based upon colonization and capitalism and stuff like that, and make it look like it's something else based upon someone else having more money. But based upon them making their own money, they had to make their own currency. So it's based upon some type of counseling, constitution, and spiritual currency. So they had to be in that space to make that the current, to make that the flow, to make that money grow on trees type of concept. So they had to put themselves on the dollar bill, and that our providence and God we trust concept based upon the Americanized concept of what we have today, just in general. And you can't get that without colonization and capitalism. You have to bring that shit up. It's not me hating, it's just me being just real. You can't make up that concept in itself without that. So it's gonna get into this essence of what I'm talking about when it comes to being into that state of being, being like our president, right? So if you're a president, you're just the head of state, or the head of the government for the republic, or you being the representation. Now, if you're the head, you have to stay ahead. So it's like a body. It's like an organization, the same way how you have your different organs and stuff like that. Above the horizon is like the essential vital organs, and then below the horizon is not as essential and stuff like that, because the ones that are more above the horizon, right, these are ones that are more essential. These are the ones that we actually know. These are the ones that we actively be using and be trying to understand and things of that nature. Right, and then the ones that are low, well, actually the other way around. The ones that are lower are the ones that we already kind of understand, and then the ones that are more higher, or higher consciousness type of concepts, or above the horizon, just in general, right? If you want to turn that into like some as above, so below type of concept, as within, so without type of concept, right? The ones that are more higher, we're trying to understand the heart. We're trying to understand what's on our heart, our emotions. We're trying to understand the brain and stuff like that based upon our awarenesses. Even though all your different organs are like brains, it's not just the brain that you got in your skull in general. They're like a whole bunch of different awarenesses. There are a whole bunch of different organs. So all those different organs need certain type of blood flow to make it so it could be a well oiled running machine, so they can run efficiently. But you're doing that from a spiritual space first. So you have to care about your spiritual well-being, and it's going to help your mental health, your mental well-being, and it's going to turn into the productivity based upon your physical well-being and stuff like that. That's how motherfuckers be caring about. That's why motherfuckers be thinking, oh, just because like you can turn into like some gym bro motherfucker and stuff like that, and they developing a body, but you're not developing your mentality in the space you in. You know what I'm saying? You like a gym bro type motherfucker and stuff like that. Like just because you got to exercise and you strong physically and stuff like that, okay, but you're not strong mentally or spiritually though. You know what I'm saying? You're not trying to create or make some type of making some type of broaden the horizon type of concept. So you have to broaden the space that you in, aka your awareness, the state of being, you birthing, you becoming something, you creating, you cultivating something for yourself, you having a better angle, you having a broad observation point. You know what I'm saying? You don't get caught up in little mini thunderstorms and have clouded judgment and stuff like that. And you know how to clear your space. And based upon you clearing your space, you start living in your purpose. From you living in your purpose, you just creating something of yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're moving up in life. Something that's more uplifting just in general is you being able to be the top, you being able to put yourself first, you being the head, like I was just saying before. So being the head, just like a president, right? It's being ahead or being above, being the top, being of high ranking. You know what I'm saying? You doing this overall. You able to bring something that's below the horizon and make it above the horizon. You was able to take something that was in the depths or unseen or unknown or unfamiliar, and you was able to make it built to make it surface level. You was able to make it seen, because that's our purpose here to do just in general. Make things that are unseen and make it seen, all the way down to mythical beings and stuff like that, or things dealing with mythology, or things that come off imaginary or fictitious and stuff like that. We're taking things that are fictitious and making it reality. Just in general, it's just y'all get caught up in reality based upon societal norms and stuff like that. But I'm highly sure we wouldn't have the society that we have right now and stuff like that, living in abundance in the way it was living right now, if someone ain't believing that imagination, if someone ain't believing their own abilities and stuff like that, if someone ain't believing the American dream, if someone didn't believe someone aspirations and stuff like that. So you need other motherfuckers. You really need to believe in yourself, and then from you believing in yourself, other people believe in you and have faith and trust based upon your abilities. You're gonna be able to create and cultivate a pocket or lane that we done never seen before, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? So if we're aware about these different entities and stuff like that, right? There is something like that in existence. It's just not condensed into the flesh, but that's what we're here to do, just in general. You know what I'm saying? So when y'all be pointing out shit like God's country and stuff like that, okay, God is just all possibilities, not a deity. So it's all possibilities. The potential of it being built, it being created, it being constructed, it being possible. We're taking things that are impossible, making it possible in some way, shape, and form. The closest way we know how, the closest way we basically know how, based upon us understanding the space that we in, us understanding the state of being that we in, and able to put ourselves first so we can be early in that pocket, and we can be the trailblazers and stuff like that. We can be the ancestors. We can be the forebearers of what that is, based upon us creating that intellectual property and not letting somebody else try to dictate how it's supposed to be seen, how it's supposed to be represented, because it's our culture, or your culture. It's your essence. It's your substance. It's your soul. It's your effort. It's your creation. And then that's it. So from you being the head, like I was saying before, yeah, it's like you being the first. So you're early. And if it's early, it's going to be something more refreshing. It's going to be something new, not something that's old and outdated, right? And you being the executive, the producer of that intellectual property, and you taking the lead. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're the leader of what that is, that means you was one of the first pioneers. That's like you making up like a new music genre and stuff like that. Okay, people have to bring you up. You are the, if this is like hip hop, okay, you the Sugar Hill Gang of this shit. You know what I'm saying? You the Run DMC of this shit. You made it what it is. You are essential. You cannot not bring them up. You know what I'm saying? You're imminent. You're everlasting. It's like high hanging fruit. You are literally part of the first seedlings and stuff like that. The first saplings, the first bearing fruit. That was what that is in the first place and stuff like that. To where it became low hanging fruit on a branch and people can suck up that game and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So just in general, that's the state of being they have to be in, just in general. But you have to look at yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it basically leads into like what I was saying earlier in the video, where there is no high and low class. We all in the same playing field and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the simplest way I could put that, nigga, we all human beings and stuff like that. So if a human and a whole bunch of group of humans based upon a civilization can make up that concept to make a constitution and stuff like that, and to make a culture and to make a government, what make you think you ain't doing that on a lower percentage scale when it comes to yourself? So from you being the head, you're like the leader. You're the representation. You're the executive. You're the producer, so to speak, right? So we have states, and then states make up a country, and then a country make up a nation. Just in general, right? So based upon, see, they be getting motherfuckers lost into nationalities, and then y'all be confusing nationalities with ethnicity when they're not the same thing. Your ethnicity is gonna be based upon your race and stuff like that. When you try to make nationality type of terms, or y'all get lost into father of a nation type of terms where it's just people taking over nations, it don't mean it represents that ethnicity. It don't mean it represents that race just in general, right? You know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers made a nation out of Atlanta and stuff like that. But just because we all from Atlanta, it don't mean we all the same ethnicity. We all the same race or the same ethnicity just because we all from Atlanta and things of that nature. If I want to make that really simple, you get exactly what I'm saying, bro. Like just because Atlanta turned into like a city and a nation and stuff like that, right? It don't mean just because we all from that nation, we all part of the same race. No, the fuck we not. No, there's a whole bunch of different races around Atlanta. No, it just got turned into a nation based upon it being a part of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like, so everything within that state of awareness, that state of being and stuff like that is under that type of concept. And that's the thing they had to create based upon the 13 colonies and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get deep into that. But just in general, right? Yeah, it's a state, country, and it creates nations. So based upon it being a state, country, or a nation, right, you have to take care of that land. Right, so it's based upon the father sky, and it's gonna make the mother land. The father sky would be like the direction, the creation, where it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Where it's gonna be proactive in, where it's gonna go, and then it's gonna get condensed into the motherland. The father sky would be like, you know what I'm saying? All possibilities. It will be like the heavenly space, the atmosphere. What's the world we're trying to create for ourselves, and we're gonna build and construct that, aka make that attention and attention span, so we keep on broadening our horizon in the territory based upon what we trying to create. Like, you know what I'm saying? The society, the world, the civilization, so to speak. And we have to take care and tend to the motherland the same way we take care and tend to Mother Nature. So from us taking care of the motherland, it's gonna please God, or all possibility. It's gonna please the atmosphere, the world, the father sky, the direction. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really that simple. So based upon that state of awareness, right? States are just a condition of being, becoming, birthing, and it basically shows the representation of your character, your behaviors, and your mannerism. Like a man is like man, woman. Man would be like thoughts. Woman would be like feelings. You know what I'm saying? Men have a dick, and then women have a womb. So men like to direct shit and be proactive and give and provide and create and build and construct. That's why niggas always be like, oh yeah, we building right now and stuff like that. And they don't like to deal with their emotions and feelings. But women like to be motherly and nurturing and like to take care of things and contain things. They like to condense things. So men will help women let things go, and then women help men be a part of something. Take care of your responsibilities. Be accountable for that, just in general. So that's just on a higher percentage scale from men being men, and then women being women. Men like to be built and mentally fit and able and muscular and able to have that mental strength and resilience to actually be tending to something based upon their awareness and what they're paying attention to. And then women like to be more like niggas like to be more linear, and then women like to be more curvy. See, that's why that y'all have breasts and asses and stuff like that, and then y'all got a womb and a pussy that curve and all that type stuff. Man, it go deep. I'm talking real spiritual right now, but we see that on a higher percentage scale based upon them being a walking representation of what that is. I'm just using different English terminologies to make that make sense, so you get the natural, pure essence of where that be coming from. So niggas are gonna be walking attention spans, walking frequencies, and then women gonna be walking attractiveness, or walking vibrations, walking emotions, walking feelings. And it's a mechanism. So once you understand the mechanism, you know how to be in order. Take care of your thoughts and feelings, your men and your women, your Adams and your Eves. And it's really that simple. The dawn would be like the above the horizon of the sun, and then below the horizon will be the dusk and stuff like that. So light, darkness, but it's like a mechanism. Darkness is just an accumulation of light, and then light is just the absence of darkness. It's just the beginning, the start, the genesis, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So based upon it being a state, we have to start making our own states of being. So from us understanding our own state of being, that's like us understanding our own awareness, right? And what we're trying to become and what we're trying to be aware about. And once we be doing that on a higher percentage scale, like I be saying in my other videos, the spirit be everlasting. And it's basically like the highest hanging fruit, right? So from it being the highest hanging fruit, you have to be that walking tree. You have to be that seed that was able to grow from a sapling and be sturdy. So from it being sturdy and it being rooted and grounded into something, and he was able to grow and become more abundant over time and stuff like that, you was able to make it a part of the tree of life and all that type of stuff. That's why they be having a whole bunch of different mysticism when it comes to the tree of life. It's really talking about yourself and stuff like that. We're the walking belief system. We the walking tree and stuff like that. We the walking organization. We the walking government just in general, because the government is just a governing mentality. We're going to rule that. So from us ruling that and us being the creation, being the representation, right? We the ones who basically make the intellectual property to make it what it is in the first place, to make it a spiritual system, to make it a council, a constitution, to make it a government, to make it a management, to make it a enterprise, to make it a, you know what I'm saying, make it a society, make it a civilization. But we do this from an internal nature first. You know what I'm saying? You have to look at your different organs, like different organs that are managing, different organs that you're managing, to make sure that system is in order, to make sure that system is running sufficiently. And we're doing it based upon a state of being and a spiritual nature first, and it becomes a thought and a feeling. So based upon your mental health and the thoughts and feelings, if they're all out of order and all over the place and stuff like that, it's going to start to wear and tear your organs. And then you start doing a lot of degenerate shit in the external world and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And just look at that as low-hanging fruit. Look at that as you paying attention to death too much. Not as like a mechanism, you paying attention to things of the flesh. And you don't know how to look at something beyond just the flesh. So you like a atheist type motherfucker and stuff like that. You don't believe in something beyond just yourself. You only on some I need to see it to believe it type of concept and stuff like that. You don't believe in something after death and stuff like that. You just believe, YOLO, you only live once and I'm never going to be able to come back. Even though we see in reality that trees come back. And based upon the seasonal transition, spring, summer, fall, winter. So based upon that happening on a broader scale, on the celestial heavenly scale and stuff like that, okay, that lets you know there's some type of mechanism on a broader scale that became that as a thing before humans even made that up as a concept in terminology to try to understand it. You know what I'm saying? That's why when it comes to hieroglyphics and stuff like that in different civilizations that are ancient and stuff like that, is really them trying to understand the celestial bodies, the sun and the moon and stuff like that. And they make a whole bunch of different allegories behind it. That's why they'll have different deities that they be worshiping, like Ra and Horus and stuff like that. Or Amaterasu, if this was like Asian man and stuff like that. It's really them trying to make up a whole bunch of different anthropomorphized allegories to the state of awareness of existence itself, so we can understand our own existence. So we already know what we doing. We already building on that attention span. That's why we more smarter than animals, just in general. And we making different mankind civilizations. But we're trying to be one of a kind, not to get lost into humanity and trying to be sympathetic and kind. That's how y'all be getting lost. They're trying to turn y'all into gentlemen instead of strong men, regardless of your gender, male and woman and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how to be mentally fit for shit. You just know how to be all kind of sympathetic and gentle-like and stuff like that. You don't know how to be tough and strong and fight for something for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? And in a minute you start fighting for your spirit and stuff like that, that's the most everlasting internal thing you can even fight for type shit. They be making motherfuckers get sobbed into a whole bunch of degenerate shit. But in a minute you stop giving a fuck about it and you stop being super philanthropic behind something, you gonna be in that more predicament of, let me try to create a situation to where I don't have to give my power away to some type of business of philanthropy and stuff like that. Nigga, I'm gonna just be the philanthropic recreational person in my little community or whatever and stuff like that. And anybody who ain't from my struggle, anybody who not from my community and stuff like that, they never gonna be able to get it unless they come to my hood, unless they come to where I'm at and see it for themselves and all that type shit. And not to gentrify and capitalize the same way how they doing to Atlanta right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to capitalize and to gentrify to make it some classism type of system and stuff like that based upon some Americanized capitalism concept. No, actually be with the people for real. And that's the true republic. Not no Republican, oh, I gotta go vote for a motherfucker, and then they gonna solve all my problems, and they can be the head of the governor in the state, like the governor, mayor, and all that type stuff. And then they set up that system and stuff like that. That's why they always have like a supervisor. Oh, you gonna be the mayor, but the mayor gotta oversee. I mean, the mayor got a supervisor that's above them, and that's the governor. And then the governor has a supervisor that's above them and stuff like that. That's like someone who part of the White House and stuff like that. And then they have people over them, and then you got the president and all that type shit. Even though the president is just the representation of what the shadow government want to do anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, oh, the president is control everything. No, it's just they're just the representation of what they're trying to utilize as a spokesperson. But the shadow government is just going to do what they do anyway. It's just the president of America is just the Americanized version of what that is and all that type stuff. But that's really a different video. It ties into this video, but it's also a different video at the same time. It's going to make me go 30 minutes about that shit just in general. But otherwise, right, based upon you stating something, your expression. So from you expressing that state of being, that state of awareness, we're all in that same condition. We all in that same state of being. We all in that same attention span. We all in that same expression. So from us trying to actually create and cultivate our own state and constitution and, you know what I'm saying, intellectual property and stuff like that, that's what actually creates different states and stuff like that. And they did that when it comes to the United States, regardless of how they did it, based upon cosplaying, based upon colonization. That's what they did. That's why when it comes to Georgia, okay, they're talking about some George Washington concept based upon the 13 colonies and stuff like that. Okay, they did that to New York and the Yorkians and all that type stuff. And it really is them cosplaying Native Americans, but that's a different video in itself. Or like California and things of that nature, right? They made different states of being in the atmosphere of like what it like to be in that state of being. That's why if you go to Miami and stuff like that, it has a particular culture and state of being that they in, based upon that mind state that they in of what they create and cultivated on the land. And you know what I'm saying? That's why in New York it's built in a certain way. That's why in the Midwest and stuff like that, it's built in a certain way. If you go to Houston, it's built in a certain way. If you go to Texas, just in general, it's built in a certain way. And that's why certain areas have like sundown towns and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people is creating it what it is, regardless based upon the Constitution and whatever the United States government is trying to do, just in general, right? Of making it what it is based upon the different laws and you being part of a society and you being a civilian and stuff like that, and them having to lay down the law. Someone had to create that in the first place. But from them creating it in the first place, everything that's actually like illegal and stuff like that, they did that. Like, they did that, and then they made it like they just made a system to where you can't do it. And then that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, every law, conduct, act that they done ever made, that's what they did. And then they just made a system to make it so you can't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they created their own state of being, country, and nation. Father of a nation, so you gotta follow these laws and how we want to lead, even though we did a whole bunch of different degenerate shit to even be in that position of power. But hey, it is what it is. So from you understanding your body is sacred, your body is like a sacrament, your body is it's like sacred. So from you understanding your light body, which is like the metaphysics of it all, your mind, and then your second body, your physical, and then it creates the things of the external world and stuff like that. The more you start to understand your own spirit, your essence, and your own substance and your own state of being, that's how you can make your own state. And based upon you being that state of being, we can all teamwork, make the dream work, create what this country is. And then based upon what this country is, we gonna be the nation of all possibilities, or God's country, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using different terminology they be making up, but to make it make sense in like the real way, not just the Americanized concept type of way, because they just look at this as the new world. Oh, they went from the old world being in Europe and shit like that, and then they had to create boats to do the Christopher Columbus concept and do Protestantism, protests against whatever Catholicism or whatever they was doing over in Europe, and protest against that and start coming over here because they ain't like living over there. And they wanted freedom and independence from England, and that's why they fought their wars and stuff like that on these Native American lands and stuff like that. That's just the purest essence. That's the first starting point that it started from. So based upon all these different American presidents and stuff like that, you're still following this template. You're just doing it the best way you know how, based upon the 50 stars, the red and blue, the red and white stripe blue concept and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the Uncle Sam diplomatic in God we trust concept and stuff like that. You're just doing it based upon the Americanized program. Oh, the New World. The New World is Christopher Columbus concepts and colonization and capitalism. And the president is supposed to represent what they did to maintain that position. And that's really it. And on top of that, you have to understand you could just be a president, not the president in the Americanized concept type of way so you could be a part of a system. No, you just make up your own city and state and your own system outside of that. The same way how they made money and they made that valuable and they made that matter, you have the power to do that just in general by feeling like by from you being basically rich in spirit, from you feeling rich in spirit and you being abundant, you able to create a circumstance for yourself to where you could be the thing that's currently going on. You the thing that's popping. You the thing that's hot. You the one who got everybody paying attention to what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? You got the block hot. You got the state hot. You got the city hot. You got the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we see this in reality all the time. The only difference is they just did it at such a high percentage scale to where they can do that, but you can't do it and stuff like that. And then the minute you think you can't do that, that's when you program. That's when you indoctrinated. That's when you stop believing in your own abilities. Like, we don't all have the sentient ability, to do that. We all got free will, so we all can have that freedom, and we all can be free flowing. Not no Americanized system of motherfuckers going to jail and stuff like that. And that's the only way to get freedom, or the only way to be diplomatic, and the only way to get justice and stuff like that. And depending on a handler or a lawyer. No, you need to have some type of esoteric lawyer and stuff like that. You need to lay down some type of act, some type of conduct, some type of intellectual property, and understand your own state of being so everyone can naturally be a part of your state of awareness, and everyone can be a part of your culture and your creativity based upon what you create for yourself, not what the government done did. Just in general. I'm not even trying to say there's something wrong with the government either. I'm not even trying to say it in a way like there's something wrong with the government. I'm just trying to make y'all understand you have to be in a governing mentality. And you're doing that on a higher percentage scale when it comes to yourself, spirit, mind, body concept. And that's what they're doing. They're just doing it more in reality. And they're doing it based upon what they did based upon the flesh. But a lot of these motherfuckers don't got no spirit, so they don't even look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do understand it and the concepts and stuff like that, but they have to do it in the Americanized New World concept and stuff like that. And you can't get that without colonization and capitalism and stuff like that. So the more we as a people try to do that in our own little different cultures, not a cult, our own little different cultures and pockets and stuff like that, they have to pay attention to that. The only difference is they try to solve that. They be trying to block motherfuckers from doing stuff like this, just in general. But yeah, the government is just management over a organization, system, or territory to keep order. Otherwise, it's going to be lawless, out of order, or not as proactive and productive. So from you understanding that from a spirit, mind, body concept, right? You start to be more proactive. You start being productive for the space that you in, and your spaceship gonna be flying around and stuff like that, and it's not going to turn to idol worship or you going to war for something outside yourself. Like, you don't have the ability to also do that yourself. So it's like you giving your power away without you understanding your own power, when you could just be in that natural power from you being free and you utilizing your free will, and you creating something for yourself, and you having a culture that is more natural and comes more naturally towards you and your people, because y'all all in the same mentality, the same sentiment. Y'all probably ain't gonna go about it the same way, but the minute y'all all have to fight for the same cause, y'all all got the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all still working together. Like, we all have our own mind, our own subjective point of view. But then when it comes to fighting for the same cause and stuff like that, end of the day, man, we all gonna fight for the same cause in the same exact way. You get what I'm saying? Like,